You're not getting any younger, so
go on that vacation, propose to that person, just go for it.
Hey you! Yes, you! Welcome to the You're Not Getting Any Younger podcast, a podcast for people who want to disrupt their lives for a good reason, to make it count. I'm your host, Jen Glantz, and every week I'll drop a new episode with stories from real people just like you, who woke up one morning and decided to make big changes, starting with small things. We'll cover topics like entrepreneurship, love, failure, and self-care. Hey, you're not getting any younger, so let's make this an adventure. Ready? Welcome back to another episode of You're Not Getting Any Younger. I am your host, bridesmaid extraordinaire, who sometimes wears fake hair, Jen Glantz. You are all the best. I have to say thank you so much for listening, rating, and reviewing this show. Hearing from you is the absolute best, so feel free to say hello or email me what's on your mind, jenglantz@gmail.com. Social media is funny because you see people on there and you feel like you know them in real life. And then maybe if you're lucky, your paths will cross and you'll find yourself staring into their eyes, wishing you could be their friend, and then asking them to be a guest on your podcast. That happened with this week's guest, Jaclyn Marfuggi. I saw her all over the interwebs. And when I found out that both of us were going to be a guest on the Great Love Debate live show, I was plotting how I could casually swoop in and make her my friend. All right, I'll admit it, I have a major girl crush on Jaclyn because she is the ultimate hustler, and there's nothing more I love about a person than someone who is extremely working hard to make their dreams come true. A person who everyone else will say, hey, slow down and quit. And they'll say, LOL, no freaking way. Jaclyn is an actress, stand-up comic, and Plyojam dance fitness instructor. Maybe you've seen her on Bravo, True TV, Fox, Sirius XM Radio, or as Bethany on the Amazon series Altered Reality. Jaclyn also has a podcast called What's Your Jersey, where she talks about sports, comedy, and life, and you could hear me as a guest on her show last week. It is so much fun being a guest on Jaclyn's show. She even asks you what kind of drink you want her to have at the interview for you. I was probably her lamest guest ever because I asked for seltzer. Thanks for having me on anyway, Jaclyn. Get ready for this week's episode because we talk about how to hustle your butt off so you can make it in a tough creative field, why you have to focus on what you love, even if that means taking a pay cut, and the importance of trusting in yourself, which, my dear friends, I am still struggling with. All right, let's jump in and hear the good stuff from Jaclyn. Thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you so much for coming to my apartment to do the show today.
I always like to point out that people invite me to their apartments and we're like technically kind of strangers, so it's just so nice to let me inside of your home. I appreciate it so much. We've only met once before, but in some like very creepy way, I feel like we've been friends forever.
I feel like that too. I don't know if it's because you're a sorority girl. I don't know.
I know you are too.
I know.
Which one were you in?
I was in Alpha Zeta Delta.
Okay.
And it stood, our like nickname on campus was Yazy. And that.
Really?
It had a few different meetings. We were really fun. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah. Was your symbol the anchor?
Oh, God, I don't even know what our symbol was. No, it was the rose. We had a teddy bear and a rose.
Right, I remember that. I remember rushing them during sorority rush, and I loved them. The girls were so fun at my school in Alpha Z. They were so, like, they had, like, a really interesting, like, vibe. Okay. And I loved them. And then day two.
Turn that on.
Day two, they dropped me.
Whoa.
And you know when, like, you go through recruitment and you're like, I don't know what I did wrong to get dropped.
I feel like they were jealous of you.
Do you think?
Yeah. I'm like girl's girl, and I always like to say I collect blondes who are like hotter than me and cooler as friends. And like I would have dirty rushed the shit out of you. I was recruitment chair, so
you really would have dirty rushed.
I really would have. But I feel like they probably thought they were probably intimidated by you.
That's really nice to say. I mean, back then, I was, like, anti-sorority girl. I was so emo. I was wearing Converse, like, ripped jeans. I rushed to be in a sorority by accident, but I will never forget that Alpha Z dropped me, and I'm upset. But I'm glad that we're friends. I feel like I'm an honorary sister of yours.
Yeah.
Alpha Z.
What were you in?
AE Phi.
AE Phi.
Have you ever heard of that?
No, we didn't have that. We had AE Pi, but that was a frat, and I spent a lot of time there.
Did you really?
Yes.
We're the female version of AE Pi.
You guys must have been amazing.
You know, it was the best and the worst days of my life, sorority life. But it translates. I mean, do you feel like anything you learned in the sorority, you translate into real life and it helps you?
I feel like I learned more in the sorority that I use today than I use anything I learned in college.
I agree.
I mean, maybe it's because we all had packets of test answers to cheat off of each other on, so I really didn't learn anything. No, that's terrible. I'm so happy I got a Bachelor of Fine Arts degree in drama.
I was going to ask you about that. So part of my research on you, I was like, you know what? Jaclyn's really cool. She's fun. She has like an insane career. Does she have a LinkedIn page? The answer is she does. What's on it? All the information I needed to know, because I was like, what did she go to school for? Where did she go to school? So you pretty much answered that question. You majored in drama and public relations.
Yeah.
What were you thinking back then? What did you think you wanted to do?
That I obviously wanted to be a professional sorority girl. Just drama and making friends.
You know, you can do that. I feel like that could be a career. It's like undercover sorority girl.
Oh, yeah. Right now I'm working on developing a tour called Dirty Rush Comedy. And we would invite you on, obviously, but it's, you know, because the first time I do stand-up comedy, by the way. The first time I was really introduced, besides when I was younger, I would watch like Don Rickles or Robin Williams on like late night. But in college, that's when I understood, like, Dane Cook. Like, there was certain stand-ups that really stood out in college. And the coolest part about it was that they would come to your school. And you could really relate to them. And I'm a girl's girl. People are like, okay, you're not in a sorority anymore, so stop it. But I think it would be amazing to bring podcasters and stand-ups into the sorority houses, into the frat houses, like, and just do the stand-up and also do question answer, do live podcasts and incorporate, because it's the generation that's coming up. Like,
so true.
I feel like it's so important. And I've heard you talk about this, like mentoring girls. And I always had goals of like writing a book about like what not to do. I know there's a ton of those, but I feel like we're all different and like we all have something to say. So I forget what the point of that was.
It's such a great idea, because I feel like those 4 to 5 to 6 years you're in college, they're really formative years, not because you learn anything in your major. As a coaching major, I learned nothing, but because of your environment. Yeah. And I feel like if you have female role models who come into the sorority house, they show you how they hustled their butt off to start something, whether it's a podcast or acting or comedy, it lets you remember that you can do way more than what you majored in.
Well, I feel like that's what was missing in college.
Yes.
We didn't have anyone either coming into the sorority house who like went through what we did, who was a working professional and could be like, this is what's going to happen when you leave school. And this is what you shouldn't do. Yeah. Like, we didn't have that. When I was in the theater department, like, we didn't have anyone coming and being like, this is how you put a reel together. This is how you put a resume together. Like, it was kind of the beginning of social media, but none of that. Like, I had a professor who was like this Shakespeare, and he was really hot. Everyone had a crush on him. But we had like personal one-on-one like appointments with him at the end of our senior year. And he was like, don't go to LA.
Why did he say that?
He was like, everything's plastic. Everyone's fake. You can't work on your craft. So a year later, I was like, I'm going to LA.
Yay!
You know?
Yeah.
And it just, that's the thing. Granted, it's been a while since I've been in college, so I don't know if they do that now. But if they don't, this is a way to go in there and let the girls ask us real questions and to be like, this is what's going to happen. Shit's going to get real, and this isn't real right now.
Yep. And you think it is, like, you think your biggest problem is, like, who you're going to invite to formal and, like, are you going to make it on the social because your grades are so bad, but then you graduate and life takes a turn. So what happened to you when you graduated? You wanted to be an actress when you were in school, and then you graduated a year later, you moved to LA. What was happening to you at that age, at that time?
Well, I'd like to say I moved to LA a year later. I was lying. It was more like 2 years probably. I still had to finish. I was able to walk during graduation at URI, but I definitely had to go to like community college to finish up certain gen eds. But so I did that. I worked at, this really helped me, a members only private golf club that was owned by the owner of Goldman Sachs.
Whoa.
And the owner of Arizona Iced Tea.
Oh my God.
So picture it was like celebrities, professional athletes, and mobsters. Like running. Yeah, it was amazing because it was such a life. Like I got to see so many sides of it. I got to see everyone with their wives. I got to see everyone with their kids. I got to see them in business meetings. I got to see them with their side pieces. It was just like a dose of reality. So I worked there. I met a lot of girls, and that's when I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Like I'm just going to start auditioning in New York. And I came upon this studio called Studio Dante, and it was owned by Michael Imperioli, who was on The Sopranos. And I auditioned, somehow got in, and it was like the last year of The Sopranos when they were filming. So I was lucky enough to get to learn acting with, the mob boss of New York and James Gandolfini and Michael Imperioli and like all these people. So I was taking class in New York City. I was doing like off Broadway plays.
Those are the best ones.
They were great. Yeah. And then I randomly auditioned for Tony and Tina's wedding.
I totally saw that one. It was the most fun I've ever had in my life.
Well, I feel like that's your life right now.
But like, this is like way before I had a career in weddings. I went to this like fake wedding play thing, and it was so much fun. Were you Tina in the show?
I played Tina. I've been married a bunch of times. I feel like that's why the family's like, we've seen it.
We got it. We're good.
I still have like a fake wedding ring. But my favorite part was playing the bridesmaid Donna, who like loved to dance and sing and have sex with her boyfriend under the table, like just be the shit show. So I was doing that. So yes, after college it was acting, but like I really was just navigating it on my own. I didn't know what to do or how to do. Like what you did was look up castings and people and newspapers and just it was very sketchy, but like great because I was naive. And then I had a friend from college whose parents owned an apartment in Manhattan Beach, California, and not knowing anything, I was like, that's Los Angeles. Yeah. I was like, yeah, I'll be in movies if I move to Manhattan Beach, guys. It's like moving to the middle of New Jersey and thinking you're going to be a working actor in New York City.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, that got me to move out here. I had no savings. Like I just kind of blew all my money on juicy sweatsuits and like whatever Jessica Simpson was wearing at the time. Didn't save anything. Like I literally remember buying bottle service at like Suede in New York when like Justin Timberlake was there because I was like, whatever, fuck it. Like
YOLO.
Yeah. And then I got to LA and like the recession hit. And, like, being a waitress wasn't really an option. It was just, like, all of that. So it was, like, a decade of just, like, trying to, like, get above water, if that makes sense.
You say all of this with a smile, and I know looking back it's a lot easier to recall. But I'm sure in the moment, were you ever like, what if this doesn't work out? Or is this the right career move to do? Or maybe I should just play it safe and find a cubicle job?
I didn't have to think that because that's what my parents and everyone else kept saying to me. No. No. They would say that, like, maybe it's time to quit because I would call them crying or, like, asking for money. And and the reason why I'm still going is because, like, it's just been, like, every step of the way, like, there's always one thing that you get and it keeps you in there. Also, I might be insane. I don't know.
I think it's an addiction, right? Because, like, you keep chasing the high and then you get the high and you're like, I want to do something even better and cooler. And I feel like when you're in a creative industry, you feel like you're just almost there.
I call it survival of the fittest. I'm sure other people call it that too. I haven't coined that term. It's like, let me drop some knowledge, Jen. Survival of the fittest.
Tell me more about that. What is this like?
What is this evolution thing you're talking about? No, I think it's a numbers game. I think if you can just kind of make it work and get a little scrappy and just not be afraid to, like, suffer and struggle a little bit, then I don't know, like it just kind of like happens and it works out. I've been knocked down so many times. I wrote a blog, it was probably 3 or 4 years ago when I thought like it's happening and like it's been 4 years. But I compared it to the ocean where like there's just waves of like, there's big waves, there's small waves, but it just keeps going. And as long as you can like keep up with it, like you'll be fine.
So how do you keep up with it when you used to have friends and family tell you maybe this is enough, and you go on auditions and people tell you no, and you do stand-up and people really do laugh at you. I've seen it, but I'm sure there are times when you even feel like maybe that wasn't my best. So how do you keep going when it feels like everyone is trying to tell you to stop?
It's really funny. In 2016, I had like family do intervention. Like we had a big family vacation in Malibu. Again, they're kind of bougie. I'm not. I would love to be someday. And one by one, it was like an uncle, then a cousin. Like I had so many walks on the beach on that vacation. With everyone just being like, it's time to get your real estate license. Like, it's time to settle down. It's time to move home. And I took everything with a grain of salt. I'm not going to lie. I cried a lot. I was like, what the fuck am I doing? And the thing that changed for me, I listened to my gut, which literally and figuratively, I always have like a little bit of a gut because I like carbs, but I just had that inner voice. And that's the thing that's kept me going, where I was like, I'm not ready to quit. And I remember looking at my dad and being like, Dad, after all the interview, like he was the only one that hadn't talked to me about it yet because I'm the most like him. He's so successful and great and strong, but we both like have, I don't know, like I would probably break down and cry if I had to actually look him in the eye, which happened during this conversation. And I went, give me another year. Like, I'm not ready to throw in the towel. Good things are happening. Yeah. And I mean, I'm also a hustler to a fault where like I'll pick up 4 or 5 bartending jobs at once. And I then started nannying for a famous boy bander to make extra money, which was cool because they were filming a TV show at the house. So I got to be like on set the entire time. So it's just been like little things, and like it's just been navigating. It's like a treasure map. Where you keep finding clues and you're like, all right, I'm going to keep going. It's like Hollywood's a big escape room.
This is what I really like about you, and I assumed about you because we've talked briefly in the past, but I don't know, like there's something about you where I was like, this person's so different than really anyone else I know in comedy maybe, because I feel like you hustle. You know, you act, you do stand-up comedy, you are a fitness instructor. Like, I just feel like you are holding on to this rope with both of your hands, and the rope is swinging you, and you're like laughing, looking down, thinking about falling. Like, I just think that you hustle so hard that you have to make it eventually huge because
thank you.
You're laughing at everything in a weird way.
Well, the reason why I do all of this, and I hope this ties into what you're saying, my dad's mom passed away before I ever met her, and everyone said, like, I resemble her, and I have, like, a same spirit as she does. And when she was going through chemo, the only thing that kept her going was watching Robin Williams stand up in the hospital and Mork and Mindy. And that would make her happy. And so I got into stand-up and into performing. Like, I remember the first laugh I ever got. I think I was in 7th grade in a show at the Petty School in New Jersey.
Shout out.
Yeah. And, like, it was like a summer camp. And I'd always danced my whole life, but it was a different sort of, like, excitement that I got from... I made a joke about Santa Claus looking like Tom Cruise, and it got like a huge laugh from the audience, and my dad even remembers that moment, which is so weird. But I remember that laugh, and then I remember like tough moments in life, like having to like make people laugh to like get out of it, you know? And so I think I just keep going with the laughter. And also a big lesson, and I don't know if I'm like skipping over questions and stuff, but recently... the bartending thing, like the side hustle, the place I was working at closed unexpectedly.
Wow.
And I had just done a photo shoot, and the photographer, like right before I closed, was like, what if you didn't side hustle? And like you put all of your energy into that one thing. And I was like, that's really fucking scary. Like, I have bills. Yeah. And he was like, you'll make it work though. Like, if that's the only thing that you're going to have to pay your bills, you're going to try harder.
It's true.
You know, because I always had, like, all the side jobs. And then, like, yes, I'd be doing stand-up here and there. Yes, I would book, like, an appearance or, like, a movie or something, like, here and there. But, like, believe me, this is all brand new, and it's only been, like, 3 months of it. once I like released that grip on all the side jobs, the jobs that involved doing what I love started kind of pouring in.
It's so crazy. But I think that's so incredibly true because people will always say, like, it's where you put your focus, that's where things will come.
Yeah.
And if you're focusing on so many other things, it's almost like making an excuse. I actually did flywheel today, and I don't, like, love flywheel, but I'm trying to get into it. And the teacher kept saying, don't grab the towel when you're sweaty because you're just giving yourself an excuse to, like, slow down and take a break.
Yeah.
And why I think this relates to you is, like, when things are, like, you're hitting a brick wall with what you want to do, you just start doing little other things, and you don't really focus on, like, that big situation in the room, you know?
So true.
Which, I don't know how fitness instructor flywheel lady fits into this, but, like, I just think it really shows you that when you focus on something, interesting things happen in the universe, you know? Do you feel ever like you are exhausted by everything you do? I mean, I feel like you do so much. Do you ever feel completely exhausted by this career?
I feel like mentally exhausted, which is, I think, worse almost because sometimes like you forget things or, you know, like you kind of just seem all over the place all the time. But I'm not someone that needs a lot of sleep. Eventually I'll probably do, but like I don't take naps. Like I love staying up late. I can still get up early. Like, so for me, I'm not really tired by, I don't know, like going, like my favorite thing to do is to have like 4 auditions in a day and to get to do stand up at night and to do a podcast and like just keep going. Like I didn't have that much to do this weekend and I live with my boyfriend. I'm not bragging, guys. He's 40. I'm 29 plus 5, and this is the first time we've ever lived with anyone, so I'm not like my boyfriend and I, like, but, like, all we were doing, we, like, watch comedians in cars getting coffee, like, binge watch. It's, like, my absolute favorite show, and I was pacing back and forth at a certain point, and he's like, can you just relax? And I was like, no, I should go right somewhere, or like, it's hard to like hold me down, but it's important. Right before Jen got here, I've had a day.
Tell us about your day.
It's been a day.
What happened?
And I don't want to get like too into it, but it was just like one of the, like I couldn't sleep last night. I was up until like 4 a.m. I emailed you back answers that didn't go through at 4 a.m.
Yeah, I got like 6 emails from you. I'm like, none of them say it all, but piece together.
Yeah, like
they do.
What? So from like 2 a.m. on, the computer wasn't working, electronics weren't working, like all this shit. I go to Rise Nation early, come back. I had another podcast in like Culver City. And I like thought I read the times wrong. So I like was like chilling here for another hour. And all of a sudden I get a call from them. They're like, hey, so did you find parking? And I'm like, huh? I'm like, oh, I'm leaving right now, but it says it's only going to take me 25 minutes. So like, I'll be there. And they were like, no, we said 1 o'clock. And I was like, oh, and it was 1 o'clock. And so I like get down to my car, I go to get out of the car, because my gas light went on and I can't open my gas tank. And I'm at the gas station. It won't open. All the attendants, because they know me at Chevron because they carry Celsius and I love Celsius and I always go there and get like 4 cans of it before I teach 2 classes in a row on Thursdays. It's in front of you right now. Just read. Do you call your guests anything?
No.
What are your listeners? Yeah, your listeners need a name.
Today they can be meatballs. Only proof.
Yay.
That's what Jaclyn calls her listeners. This is amazing.
Yeah, so
amazing.
Meatballs, this is not a sponsored post. I love Celsius. I'm sure in 10 years it'll be like, it gives you cancer.
But for now, it's amazing.
But it's healthy energy, accelerates metabolism, burns body fat, no sugar, no preservatives. I like the watermelon flavor, the grapefruit flavor, and the grape flavor. Anyway.
So were they like, are you here for more Celsius? Or
yeah.
Is this an emergency?
Well, they never see me really getting gas there because I always just park and go in for the Celsius. And they see me at the gas pump. I'm like, I can't get it. I'm using my key to try to pry it open. And the guy like opens my trunk, still can't get it open. And I'm so late that I finally I'm like, can I park my car here and I'll just take a lift?
Oh my God, this is like the last thing you needed when you're already
late. Yeah. And then my phone, for some reason, I'm telling you, electronics are off for me today. My phone wasn't getting any service, so I couldn't call a Lyft. So that's when I started crying. And that's when I started hyperventilating in my car. And I go inside and I'm like, do you guys have Wi-Fi? And they're like, okay. And I was just like, I think I'm going to get a Celsius. And they're like, it's on us.
Take it away. Please don't come back.
Like, please go away. Please leave us alone. And I was like, okay. And so I get in the Lyft. I can't stop crying. I'm calling the podcast people. And it's a really great podcast, and one of the actresses, her name's Lindsay McKinnon. I'm probably saying it wrong, but she was on Saved by the Bell, the new class. She was on One Tree Hill. We've never met in person. I was a referral. And like you, I'm very type A when it comes to being on time and getting somewhere. And I knew I had, there was just a lot on this.
It's pressure, and you just feel bad.
But in the grand scheme of things, is it?
No, and I feel like I was very late for my Today Show interview, and I kept yelling at myself saying, who cares? Everyone's always late for you. People have to understand,
Yeah.
And if they don't understand, in a way, I'm like, you have to walk away from the interview, which...
It's not going to make or break you, and if it breaks you, it wasn't meant to be.
Right, and you can't beat yourself up, but...
It's hard to remember that in the moment.
Yeah, I know. I'm still beating myself up about it last week. But yeah, it's really, really hard. Were they forgiving when you got there?
They were, and they had a meeting after, and they just flip-flopped it where they did the meeting first, and then I did it. But my Lyft driver was like, girl, I recognize you. You look famous. Famous people are late all the time. You can be an hour late. You're only 45 minutes late. And I was like, then she went into this thing about how she has a sugar daddy and how I should get one. And I was like, okay.
This is just too much. But maybe it's exactly what you needed because it changed the subject and it let you realize, who really cares,
Yeah.
And as long as you get there, and I'm sure your car is being watched over by the angels at Chevron right now. We're still working really hard.
Oh, man.
To pry this open for you. I have to ask you, I watched a lot of your stand-up. You are so amazing. But what I really liked about you versus other female comedians I've seen is the confidence you have on stage. I mean, you commit when you're up there. When you're telling a story, you're telling a joke, you can tell in your face, in your head almost, that you're there, you're committing to it. And even if the response isn't what you expected, you're still having a lot of, it looks like you're having a lot of fun when you're up there. What do you tell yourself before you start a show?
Oh, God. That heart attacks probably won't happen from being nervous.
We hope so.
It's funny, and I feel like this translates into a lot of aspects of life, whether you have a 9-to-5 and you have to give a presentation or you have to be a bridesmaid and give a speech or whatever. The more you do it, the more comfortable you are. And so for me, there's times where I haven't been on stage in a while and it literally feels like my heart is going to jump out of my chest. But the second I walk out on that stage, it all goes away and it's all fine. So advice for you guys out there, just trust. I feel like everything about this business, this industry, my journey that I've taken is I've had to trust in myself. Yeah. And once I get out on stage, it's also the theater training. To be perfectly honest, I started doing stand-up because acting, it just, once you hit 25 in Hollywood, at that point when I was 25 in Hollywood, it seemed like no one wanted to talk to me. No one gave a shit. And I was like, bucket list before I turn 30. I'm going to take Pretty Funny Women. And Lisa Sunstead, who has a new podcast, who's great. She's started so many careers. Tig Notaro, Chelsea Handler, a lot of people through, has this class. And I took it. And then I just kept getting booked on shows. But I love performing live. And my dream is to eventually be on Broadway. And I'm really working. And there's a bunch of stuff, in the works right now.
Please.
Yeah. I just did a show at the Hollywood Fringe Festival.
Yes.
And
you were Britney Spears, right?
Yes, I was.
I've also seen videos of you dancing like Britney Spears, and it is hilarious.
God.
What was it like playing Britney Spears?
I've been training for it since I was 15. Not gonna lie, it's embarrassing. The first time I ever saw the video, Baby One More Time, it was before it had even reached MTV. I randomly, in my little bedroom in New Jersey, got a weird Canadian music station.
What?
And it came on, and I was like, what? This was life-changing, which is so pathetic and sad.
Because look where it led you.
Yeah.
I mean, this is crazy.
And I saw that I recorded the video. I took it in. I was on like a dance competition team. Shout out to All-Star Dance Academy. I took it in my dance teacher and I was like, we need to be doing this.
Wow.
And it's just like, even in like high school and college, I always excelled doing either Britney dances, impersonations, whatever. And then 10 years later, I had a friend who does a podcast, Do You Remember This? Darlene, and I had a roommate, Gabby, who was best friends with her. They went to Emerson together. And I was like, you need to write a musical, like, because she always talks about the early 2000s, the early aughts,
yes.
Which I hate that term.
I don't like that either.
It's weird.
Yeah.
And we weren't saying it when we were in that.
Never.
So,
I never
like,
will say that.
No.
Nope.
So anyway, they wrote the musical. We worked on it for months. It was a lot of like blood, sweat, and tears, a lot of like back and forth. Like I was going to quit at one point.
Yeah.
It was rough. Anyway, it turned out amazing, and I got to play Britney Spears and then also Kim Kardashian in it, which was really fun. And it was basically a time-traveling musical, like Herbie Fully Loaded, but with Britney Spears, Paris Hilton, and Lindsay Lohan. It was based on the picture of them just like drunk in a car. And we had the character of Perez Hilton was the narrator through the whole show, and he was the one that would like bring us through the whole show. And it was time traveling for them to figure out how they fucked up their lives so badly.
I mean, it sounds like an easy thing to watch, you know? Like, anyone who grew up in that era can relate to that fully. It's such a great crew of people, too.
It was really fun, and it was also really fun for me because Britney got to play, like, the heart of the show.
Yeah.
Like, I normally am kind of, like, the villain or, like, the bitch or, like, whatever. And at first I was like, this isn't fun. Like, I'm just so nice the whole time. But she's so naive and nice that, like, the one-liners were great. I got to sing Rehab by Amy Winehouse as Britney Spears. I got to sing Umbrella as Britney, Unwritten as Britney. Like,
this is so cool. Have you ever met Britney Spears?
No.
If you met her, what would you say to her?
Thank you.
I love that.
Yeah.
I feel like when you meet your idol or someone you really like, you never know what to say.
Someone who's a little comparable. She's not my idol, but someone I respect so much I got to meet. They always say don't meet your idols.
I agree with that.
You know, especially because I love Britney like 2001 Britney.
Right. Now she's like, I mean, her body's so amazing and she dances wonderfully, but I feel like she's a little different than...
Yeah, I just don't... She's a little different behind the eyes, and I don't know what it would be. I would still die to meet her.
Yeah.
But I did meet Idina Menzel.
Ooh.
Yeah.
What was that? Like, what did you say to her?
And she was with Taye Diggs. It was when they were still together. And I just, like, went up to her and I was like, look, like, I'm sure you meet a ton of people, but, like, you've been such an inspiration. And, like, I just want, I think I did say thank you. I was like, you're amazing. And, like, thank you for your body of work and, like, who you are. Was
she nice to you or was she just like, I hear this all the time?
No, she was cool. They were really cool. Taye was great. They were chill. I met Paula Abdul once. Yes.
What was that like?
So before Britney, Paula was, like, a huge influence for me.
Yeah.
And as a little girl, I was obsessed with her. My parents have, like, videos of me. We lived in California for a short bit, and our house overlooked the ocean. And I would go outside with my tape recorder, play Paula Abdul, and sing and do all these Paula, like, pretend like the ocean was my audience. And eventually, an uncle of mine's girlfriend managed a tanning salon out here, and Paula went to it. So she got Paula to, like, write me a letter that says, like, to Jaclyn, may all your dreams come true. Like, work hard. All my love and happiness to you, Paula Abdul.
Do you still have it?
It's in my parents' garage somewhere. I'm so mad because I then, when I moved to LA, saw her at Ledoux, the nightclub, which you guys will recognize from the TV show The Hills. And I went up to her and I started crying, and there's pictures of us together, like, hugging. And again, I was like, you wrote me a letter when I was 7. Like, and she was really cool and really nice. And full circle moment, I teach at a dance studio in Brentwood, and we had an open house. And the weekend I taught, she wasn't there, and she was there the day after, but I had to fly home to New Jersey. So now my goal is to, like, meet her, have her on my podcast, and, like, either do a talk show with her or just do something.
Okay, it's going to 100% happen.
I'm putting it out there.
You've had a couple of chance encounters, and the next one's going to be her. Speaking of your dance classes, you teach Plyojam.
Plyojam, yeah.
What is this? Because I've seen videos of you doing it, and I want to try it, but I'm also terrified because I'm not coordinated at all.
You're the perfect person to do it.
Sure? Because I watch you in these videos, and I'm like, I don't know if my body will move like that.
It doesn't matter if your body moves like that.
It doesn't move at all?
At all? Well, if you can hair flip, maybe we'll just do a hair flip.
I would love to
or
do
just
that.
jump in place. Basically, it's an hour-long workout, and it's like Zumba, but cool. No offense to Zumba.
Yeah.
But I never liked Zumba because I am driven by music and like stuff like just that heart pumping. Like I love music. And it's to Kendrick Lamar, Drake, Jay-Z, Beyonce, just all the people that like you hear on the radio. It's really fun and it's a constant workout and you just have a good time. And I was kind of missing that a few years ago. I was like, you know what? Because I used to teach pound with the drumsticks.
Pound.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I used to teach that.
It was really hard.
Yeah, it is really hard.
Banging on the ground, it's really hard. But this
It's
one
really
looks
hard.
more fun.
This one I found because I was like, I wish I could find a workout that incorporated dance a little more,
Yeah.
but like wasn't hard enough because I would go to Millennium or the other dance studios and like I'm not a professional dancer now. Like I love choreographing, but I'm not in music videos at the moment. Like I wanted something where I could just like let loose and dance, but also not feel the pressure. So that's what this is. Even I sometimes will teach in Athleta stores, like in New York, at the Grove, and it's amazing because they don't have mirrors. And I always find when I don't have a mirror for the class, everyone, whenever I look back, they're in sync, they're rocking out, no one's judging their bodies. It's the worst thing. Like, even filming the videos, like, I'm so critical. I almost didn't post about it because I was like, oh, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong.
Yep, you can't watch yourself. And I think what's so interesting about this workout is now we can watch you online. It's an online program, too. So I can watch you online from my living room and do it, which I think I might be more comfortable with because, I don't know, like, there's something interesting about just, like, letting loose and going crazy dancing in your own living room. But the thing about this is I can really see how it's a good workout. Like, I creepily watched your videos of you doing it, and I feel like it's a full body workout. Like, do people leave your class feeling super sore from it?
They don't feel sore because I really, really, really make sure to stretch you out in the beginning and the end. But I love feeling sore in a good way, and I do have people that'll, like, text me the next day and be like, my booty's sore, or, like, whatever. But, like, you feel like you worked something. It's not like you hurt something.
Yeah.
I do have a lot of women that come up to me after class, and they're just like, oh, my God, that was so much fun. Like, after I took the first class, I had a cousin that brought me to it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and that's how I got into it. I didn't, like, I eventually had to audition, but, like, she was like, I think you'll like this. And I went. And it's funny because I was very hesitant to go because it was on the west side. And if you live in Los Angeles and you live in West Hollywood, you don't want to go to Santa Monica.
Nope.
But I was like, whatever, I'll go. And it was like the mothership was calling me home. And like the instructors walked up to me after it and they're like, you're really good at this. We feel like you should teach this. And that's kind of, I forget what I was listening to. Maybe it was even you on Steve Harvey. About finding your gift.
Oh, yeah, that's Steve's favorite line.
Yeah, and it was like something that just came naturally to me, just like the Britney thing, just like being on stage.
Isn't it crazy how things just fall into your lap? Like, you probably never would have thought that you would be this kind of instructor, and here you are loving it, doing it, and thriving with it, too, which is so crazy and so cool at the same time.
And it makes people happy.
It really does. I mean, I have promised that I'm going to take a class, and I'm going to.
Yes!
I'm just so nervous.
Don't be nervous!
I'm just so nervous.
No, or do it at home and drink wine while you do it.
So true. I might start with that, and then I'll come like 6 months later to class and be really freaking good at it. I want to finish up with a quick lightning round.
Yes.
I'm going to ask you a couple of questions, and let me know what you think. When you were a kid, what did you want to grow up to become?
A pop star.
Ooh, what's your dream job now?
Actress on Broadway playing a pop star.
Yes, it's going to happen. I know it. What advice would you give yourself at age 22 graduating from college?
At age 22, graduating from college, save money. You don't need that outfit that Jessica Simpson had. Or all the purses or all the shoes. None of that shit matters. Work on your craft and listen to your gut. Just keep going forward. Be confident. Like, there's so many times where I didn't go after something because I was like, I'm not good enough. Like, just fucking go for it, because the people that aren't even as talented as you are going for it and getting the jobs that you should be getting. So just fucking go for it.
I can't explain how true that is. What's the best advice anyone has ever given you?
There's been a lot of really good advice. Can I do a few?
Of course.
Okay. My mom, she used to watch the TV show That Girl with Marlo Thomas.
Yes.
And she always loved it. And she always told me a quote, which other people have said, but Marlo Thomas was always like, you're in your own like horse race. So you got to like be a jockey and keep your blinders on and just not look at anyone else. Like just stay in your lane. So hard because I also have huge amounts of FOMO and like I'm always comparing myself. So I have to fight that. So that was one good thing. And recently a comedian, Fahim Anwar, was like, you need to make room for the things that you love. Yeah. Like, don't fill your schedule up from like the second you get up till the second you go to bed. Like, you need room. You need to tell the universe you're ready to accept things in. Don't be lazy. Don't just be like, I'm not going to work. I'm just going to sit on my couch. I'm going to do my thing. Yeah. There's Alec Baldwin and Jerry Seinfeld during Comedians in Car. It's the second one that Alec Baldwin's in. And they call it like the entertainment fairy or something. I'm butchering it. But they're like, yeah, it's like people think like someone's just going to like knock on your door and be like, you're talented. Like, we've never heard of you. We've never seen you do anything. But come on, we hear you got this talent.
I tell myself that every day, that nobody's going to come find you in the middle of nowhere where you're living and pull you into what you want to do.
Exactly. So
let's finish with this. Fill in the blank. You're not getting any younger, so...
You're not getting any younger, so just... go on that vacation, propose to that person, just go for it. Just try to be happy. I think life, yes, you need money to survive and you need certain things, but like if you're happy and you're doing things that you love, all of that's going to come. So just like, you don't know if you have tomorrow. So just fucking go for it.
I love it so much. Please tell our listeners where they can find out more about you and all of the awesome, cool things that you do.
Hey, well, listeners, I'm Jaclyn Marfuggi, and you can find me on social media at Jaclyn Marfuggi. That's JACLYNMARFUGGI. And I post about my Plyojam classes, which you can sign up online, www.plyojam.com for the online classes, or you could come to my classes if you're in LA. I also have a podcast. It's called What's Your Jersey, and you can listen to Jen on it this week. I just realized my fly's down.
The whole interview.
My fly's down. Whoopsie. And yeah, What's Your Jersey? I'm also performing all over LA and hopefully in New York in August. So I just post all my dates on social media. So yeah, at Jaclyn Marfuggi, or listen to What's Your Jersey podcast on Audio Boom and iTunes.
Amazing. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Hey you. Thank you for listening to the You're Not Getting Any Younger podcast. There are hundreds of thousands of pods out there, so thank you for listening to this one. You can find the show notes for this week's episode up on our website, anyyounger.com. Subscribe, rate, and review the You're Not Getting Any Younger podcast on iTunes so that other ears around the world can listen too. Oh, and join our secret You're Not Getting Any Younger Facebook group, where over 1,000 people are talking about how to disrupt their lives, for a good reason, to make it count. Until next week, all my love, Jen Glantz.